All right, aloha and welcome to another Aloha Friday drip. This is Tyler Devereaux, and we have Dave Allred in the house. Dave, welcome to the Growthcast, bro. Thanks for being on.
Great for being here, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. So those of you who do not know Dave, you need to know Dave, man. He has a wealth of knowledge. I'll promise you this right now. You're going to want to have some pens, papers, whatever you take notes on, and dive into this thing, man. He was the regional VP of sales for Vivint for what, like 17 something years. Is that correct?
15 years.
15 years. You don't look that old, man. You don't look that
a
old.
lot longer than the 4 months that I was recruited to go out to Chicago to knock doors and sell home security. So now turned into this 15 plus year leadership career.
Dude, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. And then you ended up growing the sister company, Vivint Solar, led 121. This stat's crazy, man. 121 sales teams across 41 states, which helped both of those companies go public with billion dollar valuations. Vivint's obviously a behemoth. Then you transitioned into real estate. We can talk about all this, but acquired a bunch of doors. Now is the managing partner and CEO of Axia Partners. They're on their second fund, and it's an awesome fund, man. I was chatting with Dave off camera a little bit about everything that they're doing within the fund and how they diversify and what they focus on. And maybe we'll get into some of that as well, but you need to hit him up, man. He's also an amazing public speaker and executive business consultant, talks about leadership, sales. I love that you put adventure in there, by the way. Adventure, real estate, family, dude, all that is a ton, man. That is a ton. And I want to lead in with this question, okay? You've achieved a ton. And you're also a very intentional person. I can tell that for sure. And I've heard you say before that freedom is your biggest motivator. So first, two questions to lead in with that. First, like, how do you define that? And then number two, like, how do you manage everything that we just talked about and maintain freedom? I know it's a loaded question to start off with.
Yeah. So I would define, freedom, because freedom at my core, my biggest motivator for Dave Allred is freedom. And I would say that's not just, it's freedom, but it's also freedom of time, financial freedom, and lifestyle freedom. And, when I first got started, it was really just focused on, how can I create financial freedom? Once I accomplished that, then it led to, okay, let's really focus on financial time freedom. And, once I was able to achieve that, then the focus switched more towards lifestyle freedom. And what I would, in general, what I'd say that means to me about having this freedom, it's the ability to be doing whatever I want to be doing it with the people I want to be doing it with when I want to be doing it. And that's how I'd summarize what freedom means. In terms of, how do you manage
answer, by the way, can I just say that's a freaking great answer. You nailed that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. In terms of, managing, kind of balance between business and then, I've got these 4 beautiful kids and a family I'm very proud of. I get that question a lot. And, I really kind of studied that down to a science, with this leadership career at Vivint. For the most part, that was leaving for the summertime for 4 months, and it's very intense in the summer, like very, very intense. And so, and you're away from your family, people you love, your friends. And so here's my answer. I believe that balance is a fallacy. I think that anybody that's really striving just to have a balanced life is going to have a mediocre life, because balance is what we kind of assume to be average. What's, what the status quo is. And so to me, it's not about trying to have balance. I believe that the price of greatness is in balance. You actually have to be willing to go all in and be willing to make some sacrifices and not have balance at some points in your life. With that being said, whether that's starting a new business or launching a new podcast, or, a new real estate deal that you're really excited about, or launching a new fund, or, whatever that might look like. And you've got to go all in to be able to be great at it. And, but with that being said, I also believe in seasonality. And what that means to me is, if you're imbalanced because you're so all in on one project and getting it off the ground and dominating and winning, you've got to then later on make sure you make up for that with your relationships, your friends, your wife, your kids, and your health, and your eating and your working out, fitness. And so it's really more of a macro view on what balance means to me. I'm willing to be very imbalanced. My wife's used to it now, like launch a new business, or, the new fund, or, my partners and I brought a Topgolf into Utah County here. And, there's definitely times where it's very stressful and it's imbalanced, but at the end of the day, I make up for that, when I have time, and maybe it's the next month, or the next quarter. And so in general, in the year, I want to be very balanced, but there's definitely points within that year where it's very imbalanced.
Bro, that's absolutely like, that is a success principle and viewpoint and mindset or perspective, or however you want to say it, that I just believe that most people just don't talk about. They want to talk about balance being this freedom being this perfect balance across life to be able to do whatever you want to do. Dude, no, like I completely agree with everything that you just said. There's seasonality behind it. And my wife is also very used to this now, where you have to go all in, and then then you get that done, and then you can go all in on family. And then it's never just this perfect balance, bro. And when people understand that, and if people don't understand that, then as they're trying to go all in, well, shit, man, they think that they're doing it wrong. No, you're doing it right. You have to go all in to be able to do those things.
And I would add one more thought my all-time favorite author is Jocko Willink, Navy SEAL Team 3, and, extreme ownership and the dichotomy of leadership. But he says, discipline equals freedom. And I believe that to my core. Discipline equals freedom. When you hear about like my lifestyle design and, my win the morning routine and some of the habits that I follow, a lot of people are like, man, that's so disciplined. Like, it doesn't sound like you have a lot of freedom because you're like so structured and like rigorous with your habits and your routine. But to me, I feel like doing that really actually opens up so much more open space to be able to go out and really, pursue my dreams, and to be able to go, dominate in business, and be able to go and do the things I'm passionate about, because I know I've got my health in check in the mornings. I've got my time with my kids in the evenings, dialed in and kind of chunked off my calendar, date night with the wife and everything else. It's really like the highest priorities. Right. And that actually opens up so much more flexibility to go and have true freedom.
See, this is what I mean by, I know you're very intentional, because everything that you just said is very intentional of where your focus is. One of your last IG posts that I saw, you were talking about how many decisions we make in our lifetime, or how many decisions you make in a day. Do you remember those stats off the top of your head by chance?
Yeah, it's a really fun exercise. So, I'll actually run through it real quick with you. So if you take your average age, so if you're a male, it's 78, if you're a female, it's 81 years old. You minus from that your current age, that gives you how many years are left in your life on average, times that number by 365 days, gives you how many days are left in your life. And you times that by 35,000, which according to Google is the average number of decisions we make in a day, which is a ton, right? But that's everything. It's what you wear, dress, your speed, your changing lanes, all of that. And so, for me, that kicks out about 500 million decisions left in my life, which is a ton. And so, but if you have like a real purpose in life, and you have a true north, and you identified how you would define a life well lived, and like what that destination looks like, you're just going to have you're going to get there a lot faster, but you're also going to have a lot more fun in the journey, because there's purpose and intentionality behind why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah. That's that last bit that you said there, when you wrapped it up at the end of that, I loved how you tied it in, because that's exactly it. When you have that true north, like you said, it makes that decision-making process so much easier. And it also helps you understand that you're going all in on something for a reason. Like there's intention behind it. It doesn't mean that you're going to forget everything over here. No, you're going to come back to that. Like, I just went on this tear in December where I was gone for, I don't know, 3 weeks or something like that. And people look at that and they're like, man, that's crazy. And, your family. And well, no, dude, then I come back and I go all in with my family and spend way more quality time than most people ever get to spend. It's like, it's a beautiful balance, bro. Balance, like you said, is a fallacy, but all this is balancing your life. That doesn't mean a 50-50 balance. That means you're balancing your life with intention. I love it. So it's awesome, dude. So tell me about Axia. So you created, when did you guys started that a year and a half ago, correct?
Yep. About a year and a half, coming up on 2 years.
You guys have been crushing. What does Axia mean, by the way?
Yeah, so Axia, the word itself it's Greek for creation of value creation. And in my leadership career, that was something I was always big on, is just, creating maximum value. My all-time favorite quote is Zig Ziglar, and he says, you can have anything you want in life if you help enough other people get what they want, right? And it's always just about creating value, as a salesperson with your customer, as a business person with your customers, as a fund manager with our investors. even with our assets in our communities, with the communities that they serve. And so it's really, and so our fund is actually focused on recession resilient commercial real estate. And, we specifically focus in apartment complexes, which I love. It's kind of bread and butter for me. Housing is a necessity, food and shelter, you've got to have it. We also invest in RV parks, huge cash cows. We love storage units, one of the most recession resilient assets out there. And then also industrial warehouse. All the economic indicators show in the next 5 years that industrial warehouse should be the top performing asset in real estate. And so it's a blend of all four of those assets. And we just approached it saying, hey, how can we, we're 12, 13 years into this incredible housing cycle. How can we mitigate the downside risk of loss in a frothy market where it is so competitive? And so the whole approach is just, hey, how can we minimize downside risk while still creating strong upside yield? And we do that mainly through, it's the type of assets that we acquire that you talked about. It's always a strong value add approach to that. And it's not just traditional, throw some, lipstick on the pig with some new paint and granite countertops. It's that, but it's also a little more of a modern approach to it with search engine optimization, creating a social media presence for the asset, adding dog parks, dog spas, shared office space, like WeWork space in the multifamily assets. And so just really getting strategic in the value add approach. And then lastly, we only go to markets where there's a strong net positive migration. So you have a lot of people coming into those markets. So we study that, religiously every month. It's really interesting. You can look at the U-Haul data and you can see where U-Hauls are being rented and where they're going to. And it's pretty fascinating. I mean, as an example, if you look at a U-Haul going from San Francisco to Austin, Texas right now, it's 4 times more expensive than going from Austin, Texas to San Francisco because the flow of the demand, right? And so anyway, it's been awesome, man. So we launched our first fund, last year. It's done really well. It's currently overperforming, and had a second offering. We're actually on our third offering now, and right in the middle of a $40 million equity raise, and it's been an incredible journey, man.
That's awesome, dude. I love that. So I ask you that question, Axia, what is it? What does it mean? Because I just preach, man, and believe to my core that value creation leads to wealth creation. And if you focus on, well, exactly Zig Ziglar's quote, like you talked about, you really focus on providing value to enough people that will come back to you 100-fold, man. And that's with your apartment communities. That's with whatever your assets you're acquiring, right? Anything that you're doing. It's also with everything in our life, man. Give freely, this abundant mindset. So I love the name and I love the purpose behind the name, right? It's awesome.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'd say it's simply that, dollars follow value, right? And so like when, young people come and ask me for advice and like going to college and degrees and where they should do and how to get into investing, I'm like, hey, just the high quality question is asking yourself, how can I create maximum value in the market? Because the dollars will always follow value creation.
Yep. That's it. That's exactly it. If you focus on that and truly like ask those better questions in line with that, bro, growth happens at a rapid pace. Now, I love your focus too in the direction of what you guys, how you're diversifying your fund. Those of you listening to this, a lot of you guys know that we invest in multifamily. We have a fund, ours is a multifamily fund. We're actually just started our second fund as well. So very similar there, except your fund is diversified over different asset classes within the fund. And I love that. And so anybody listen to this, I know that I think you said it's a 506B, so you can't, or 506B or no, C, you said, right?
You got it.
Yeah.
So we can't look at the actual the actual specific details on it, right? But it's we're really excited about it. I think it's a great way to be able to get exposure to a lot of different types of commercial assets. Let me say it this way. I used to do a lot of syndication, did about a dozen syndications, and I love that model. What I learned is as I started to invest personally into other real estate funds, I fell in love with the fund model, mainly because, statistically, it's actually 1.7 times less risky investing into a fund versus a individual asset or individual address. And that's really just because of the diversification. And so to be able to go and diversify across, 4 different asset types in multiple different geographical locations and states, and that creates a real diversified, portfolio. And so for our partners coming in, with a real equity position in that, not only do they get 100% of the tax benefits, so we give 100% of that flows up to our limited partners, but also, cash flow, everything Anyway. I love that model. And secondly, and as it's such a competitive market out there. And so we go into multifamily. We put an offer in on a deal in Atlanta, and there's 62 other offers on a multifamily apartment complex.
Yeah.
But when you come into that situation and, hey, we're a fund and we're already fully capitalized, it's a huge leg up in a competitive bidding situation. And then lastly, on a syndication, I could usually only help maybe 5 to maybe 25 people coming in as partners, whereas on a fund, we can go all the way up to 999 partners, and so you can create value for a lot more people underneath this vehicle.
Dude, I love you. The reason you guys created your fund is so similar to the reasons we created our fund, and I love the word that you used earlier was in such a frothy market, which is I'm still in that shit, dude. I'm using that for sure. But it gives you a buying advantage going in, huh, man? And you can leverage that, dude. We've been able to take down some awesome deals and negotiate. Like, people think that it's it's a yielded out market and that there's tons of competition, and it is, and there is. But man, if you position yourself properly, like y'all have, dude, it's absolutely very, very powerful. Another thing,
and there's one more big pro to it, which was actually a concern for me at the beginning, but in retrospect, it's a beautiful part about running a fund. I was always a solopreneur. It was always the Dave Allred show, right? All these syndications is always just me doing it on my own, and I'm somewhat of a perfectionist, a little OCD maybe sometimes, but and so having a bunch of partners coming together, it's basically like a marriage, right? It's a business partnership and like a long-term partnership. And I was a little bit concerned about that, but it's actually been incredible having partners that are like-minded, they're, power, like dynamic, having, they're on the same mission. It's a sounding board that I can go and talk to these guys about. They can help me identify any blind spots, any landmines I might've missed along the way. And so it's just, I really believe that the best place you can get to in business is when you blur the line between when you're doing business and you're just hanging out with your friends. And it's a beautiful mix when you're like, you really enjoy hanging out and doing business with people that you want to be doing business with. I often say that who you do business with is who you do life with naturally, right? That proximity, you just end up doing life together. So it's been really fun to actually have a team of some incredible partners that we've teamed up with.
Bro, that's a huge actionable, I believe, for everyone listening, because we have, you have passive investors, you have active investors, you have business owners as a whole. And passive investors, your job is to put money into Dave's fund and watch your money grow. Awesome. As an active investor, right, you're taking more of an active role, and you have partners that you're trying to bring on, and people are looking all sorts of different areas, and they're worried to do business with friends, family, whoever. Dude, you spend, and it doesn't need to be a current friend. It doesn't need to be a current family member, but I'll tell you this, you spend so much time with those people that you work with, do business with, that you want to know the best way to have a balanced life is to freaking do business and work with people that you love hanging out with. That way you go on a vacation with those that you're working with. You can also get work done and vacation. It's like the best of both worlds. And bro, you have like 5 different like major partners. Is that correct?
That's right.
And they're powerhouses.
It was 4. I mean, Aaron's done probably more deals in Utah County than anybody I know. Jeremy he helped build, multi-billion dollar sales organizations like from the ground up. Adam, our fund president, literally the smartest guy I know. He's at Stanford, Harvard, just literally the smartest person that I know. And then we just had another partner join our team about a month and a half ago. His name is Brandon Fugel, and he is the #1 commercial name in Utah, hands down. Like there's not even a close to a second. And so really honored to have him come in as a partner as well. And I mean, he gets hit up all the time to be partners in different deals and, funds. And this is the first time he's ever, taken on a position as a GP in a fund with us. So really honored about that. And, just really excited about it. I think you can go fast by yourself, but you can go far as a team.
Absolutely. How did you guys find each other? How did you guys form that partnership? And who initially founded Axia? And then how did you guys bring in the other members, or did that all start at the same time?
Yes, no. So I was doing these syndications, and as I mentioned, I was starting investing in other real estate funds, and I fell in love with that model. But it was in the back of my mind that I wanted to go into the fund world. And then Jeremy, who was actually running the East Coast for Vivint Solar, he reached out to me because he wanted to do the same thing, and he wanted to go into real estate full time. And so we started having the conversation, and then, we're like, hey, well, we're missing, a few pieces here. Who else can we think of? And then we thought of Adam, and then I met with Adam, and I kind of fell in love with the concept, but we were still missing like some firepower. And so I talked to Aaron, and Aaron was like, I love the idea. And it just naturally came. So we all had previous friendships and relationship capital, and had done a few different investments together as, LPs and, little JV agreements and whatnot. But yeah, it was really a natural culmination of these people that really were already in the same thought process, had similar core values and similar approaches to life. And I'd say similar objectives, what we want to accomplish, which is really to make a dent in the universe. It's not just to make some money together, and it's really about making a big difference. And like, our goal is to become a multi-billion-dollar investment firm here in the next few years. And yeah, but I think the key is just finding people that really share common values and that have the same mission in life. And you find those people, and they're willing to put in the same amount of work, that you are, and bring that to the table. I think you have to be very, very, very careful going into those relationships, though, because they are long-term relationships, right? You're a fiduciary to your investors, and so it's a long-term play. And so I'd say be very, very careful and be very selective. But I feel very lucky that we have compiled the team that we have.
It's awesome, man. It's awesome. So you said that you want to make a dent in the world. So, and I know that about y'all because I've heard you and a number of your partners speak. You guys are great speakers, by the way. Awesome. Aaron's a powerhouse. You're a powerhouse. So when you say you want to make a dent in the world, I also know that your motto is, so I want to know if these come hand in hand, honestly. This is more of like a personal question, but you have your motto, I think, is that you want experiential investing or something I've heard you say. Is that correct?
You got it. Experiential investing.
So what does that mean? And is that how you make a dent in the world with what you're doing? Or are you making a dent in other ways as well? I know it's probably a loaded question.
No, I love that question. So two things. One, for me personally, as I have achieved that financial freedom and time freedom and some things, it's my focus has switched more to one of my primary goals personally is I want to create direct value for at least 10 million people in my life. And I want to help at least 1,000 people achieve true financial freedom through real estate. And so that's something I'm personally committed to. In terms of our fund, I believe that, so the motto is experiential investing. And what that means to me is I think that experiences are the new economy. People want experiences, whether they're baby boomers, millennials, whatever, and they're willing to pay a premium for it. We all want to experience life and have these rich experiences. Everything that I'm doing in business right now is experiential. You talk about the restaurants that we're developing, dozens and dozens of restaurants that we're involved with. They're all very, very experiential. Topgolf is as experiential as it comes when it comes to, entertainment. So with Axia, what that means is every month we have a experiential webinar where we spend an hour with the top real estate people in the country coming on and speaking to our partners, followed by a 30-minute Q&A session where they can ask any questions they want. So that's every single month. Every time we close on an asset, for example, currently we're closing on a $50 million industrial warehouse here in Salt Lake County. And so we do a webinar. We show exactly how we found the deal, how we underwrote it, the model, how we sourced the debt, and our value add plan for the asset. So it's just full transparency, pulling back the curtains, and hey, this is how we do what we do. And
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I just want to make clear when you say partners, you're not talking about your partners that we just talked about. You're talking about your investing partners, correct?
That's right. Yep, so hundreds of limited partners.
So awesome. Sorry to interrupt you, man, but I just want to make sure that I clarify there. That's so awesome you guys do that.
You're good. No, and like we go out and do a site visit, our LPs, our limited partners, our investors are always welcome to come out with us and literally walk the asset with us, and so they can learn from it. And so the whole idea is instead of just getting an ROI, return on investment, which is, first and foremost, but it's also creating an ROE, a return on experience or a return on education. And, there's the old adage of instead of giving a man a fish, teach him how to fish. It's kind of that same concept. And it's been received very, very well in the market. I don't know any other investment firm that is so committed to educating, teaching, and transparency and over communicating. And so, it's just been a fun way to be able to create value in kind of a unique value proposition for our partners. And it's been really fun for me, man, because, as a sales leader, what I really missed stepping out of that leadership position and going into real estate was I found myself in my office looking at spreadsheets and doing due diligence and looking online at, different deals. And I love that stuff, but I miss that interpersonal development side of it as a leader. And so this is a fun way to be able to kind of blend that into a real estate firm and be able to create that value for our partners. So it's been fun, man. Really proud of it.
Bro, we're very similar, man. In that stuff drives me. Like, real estate is awesome because real estate has changed my life, right? And literally, I know that's kind of a cliche, but it has, man. Multifamily real estate's absolutely changed how I live my life and the direction that I go and how I view myself, even as a person, because it's forced me to do crazy things. But my true joy comes in, dude, helping other people once again have experiences in life, man, and change their life.
The truth is, the real estate, there's nothing really sexy about a multifamily apartment building, right? It's brick, mortar, and glass windows. What's really fun is it's the experiences you can build around, the relationships you can build around that, right? With people that you care about and the value you can create for them around that asset.
Yeah, bro. That's the purpose, the answer behind the purpose. I love how so first off, such amazing actionables for anybody listening to this. Also, I loved how you said, and correct me if I say it differently, because I loved how you said it. You said experiences are the new economy. Is that how you said it?
You got it.
I learned so much. I learned so much from what you just took. And I find myself like wanting to go and take notes right now. Right. But I just try to be like really present, but I literally cannot wait to re-listen to this because there's so many things that I just learned from that little blip that you just said that, dude, I believe we're missing the boat on and that we can implement to help enhance those who are within our fund and within the things that we do as well. That I love how you guys are approaching it. And I think that it's something that we're missing the boat on. So I appreciate you sharing what you're doing there and how that's going, and the impact that it's making. So being able to impact the lives of others, right? Make a dent in the world. Is there anything past Axia that you're doing personally to make a dent in the world?
We launched the Allred Family Foundation just recently. So all of my children, my 4 kids, are ages 8 through 16. They're on my board of directors. And so they just got to choose, which charitable cause they want to support. And I'm really proud of them. And so they're all employees of my personal real estate business. So not only is it a really interesting tax play, right, with those wages and tax deductibility there, and but it's really a fun way to be able to teach your children, real estate. And I think that kids learn best through participation. So instead of me just telling them about real estate or them, even watching me, but actually having them involved in the trenches with me. And so, my son, he'll drive around and look at properties with me. My 16-year-old, she's done a few JVs where she owns, a duplex with me right now. And, she wanted to get a new Tesla Model 3 for her birthday, 16-year-old birthday half a year ago. And I'm like, there's no way we're going to buy a Tesla for that's ridiculous. No. And after, weeks of just relentless, pushing for it, which I'm proud of my kids. I taught them that no means yes, but kind of backfires on you as a father. And Now we have a dog and a cat and all this stuff. Like I'm not a pet person, but they just wore me down up year over year. It's like, hey, we got to get this dog, got to get this cat. Anyway, so on this Tesla, I'm like, hey, no, we're not going to do that. It's irresponsible. And then finally, I'm like, hey, you know what? That's not the right message. The right message is you figure out how to get enough passive income to be able to pay for this depreciating asset, a vehicle, and then we can talk about it. So she came back to me and she's like, hey, Dad, that cryptocurrency we bought when I was 14 and, the stock that we bought when I was 15. And because she's been working for 2 years, as she went and got a job and she's very industrious. And anyway, so we took some of those profits, rolled it over into a duplex with me. And so now she has enough cash flow coming from that duplex to be able to pay for her monthly car payment. She's able to go get the car that she really wanted and have that. And she didn't use up her nest egg, right? She's just using the cash flow from her investment to be able to pay for what she really wants in life. And that's a beautiful message. That's really what I want to be able to, teach other people. And that's kind of how I've been operating the last, 10 years or so, is if I want a luxury item, a new Breitling or a new boat or, something that's a depreciating asset, I've got to get a new appreciating asset where the cash flow is going to cover that expense.
That's it, man. That is what lucky kids, man. Those are some blessed kids to be able to live in that household and learn from that environment. It's an amazing thing, the leg up that you're able to give them, man. And I don't know a ton about your upbringing, but I know that that's not the upbringing that you had. You know, I know that
Oh
you've
yeah.
created that and learned
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we grew up with, that's a whole nother podcast, but, yeah, it was definitely kind of a broken home, very, very low income home. And I ran away when I was 17 and really just learned a lot of this, on my own. But, we live in the most amazing time, man, where everything is available at the tip of our fingers. We have Google, everything, the entire knowledge in the world is doubling every year and a half. That's crazy. It's accelerating so quickly. And so, it's really just about, in my opinion, it's about keeping a growth mindset and always having the humility to be able to learn more and to never feel like you've made it, or, get that chip on your shoulder. And so, I mean, for me, and a lot of times people ask me the question like, hey, what keeps you motivated to keep like a growth mindset and to be able to keep pushing to learn more and more and more? And my answer, I just want to share it with you because I think it's really made an impact for me for Dave Allred, my goal is to pursue the best version of Dave Allred. And I don't know what that looks like exactly, but I'm excited to find out what that is. And I always want to be doing bigger deals than yesterday. I feel like if you're always doing bigger deals than yesterday, you're going to naturally, learn more. You're going to have progression. You're going to increase your network, hopefully your net worth. You're going to have proximity to other people doing these bigger and bigger deals. And so when I started out doing townhomes and then a bunch of fourplexes, I think I did about like 27 fourplexes. I love those fourplexes. But then went into multifamily and then big multifamilies and syndications and now a fund. But it's just always like, what's next? What's that next level? And I think I found that I'm the happiest when I'm making forward progression and I'm becoming the best version of myself. And, the idea of like coasting to me sounds terrible. Like, the truth is you're either growing or you're dying. There is no such thing in nature as just like maintaining or coasting. Right. So for me, it's always about just pursuing that best version. I love the expression, always stay eagerly unsatisfied. So you're eagerly unsatisfied, right? You're unsatisfied, you're happy but you're eagerly unsatisfied to continue, or you could even call it, just, curiosity. Like I'm curious to find out more, to learn more, and to really trying to get to that next level. So anyway, coming on a rant there, but I just want to share that.
Oh, not a rant, bro. I mean, it was a rant. Don't get me wrong, but it was a great rant, right? It was a great rant, bro. It's awesome because first off, I love the dad that you are. It's a great dad. Because it's hard, and there's so much that I want to pull from what you just said. But one thing that I want to circle back to is you didn't grow up in wealth. Now you have wealth, and you're always growing because it's not you just get to a point and you're just good. Like I literally have never understood that. It's always growth. But what's hard sometimes, at least for me personally, is my daughter, if she asked for a Tesla, my immediate knee-jerk reaction would be probably the same as yours. Like, I drove a Ford Festiva for shit's sakes, and $400, and like, get the hell out of here, right? But because that's how I was raised. But to really continue to challenge yourself as we're growing as individuals, like to change our perspectives of like, no, it's okay for them to have amazing things if you show them correct principles on how to actually get those things. So how do you keep yourself open to, or I guess, how do you balance this of like, okay, am I spoiling my kids or am I really creating this foundation for just an amazing life for them? Like, where's that balance? How do you check that?
And Tyler, that's such a good question. That is literally a topic that I would love like another podcast on specifically because it's such a big question. So I'll try to keep it brief here, but my answer is what I say to my kids is, hey, nothing is given, everything is earned. And I say that to them all the time. And that's what I want them to learn is, I don't want them to rely on anybody else. I don't want them to rely on the government. I don't want to rely them on it. Nothing is given, everything is earned. And but I do worry about that, man, because I grew up without anything and frankly, I'm very grateful for that. Honestly, like I'm grateful for the hardships and the challenges. And, I could go through this list of like crazy hard things in my life. And I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm bragging about it because those challenges make me the person I am today, right? The challenges they forge character and they forge strength, and it helps us to become stronger men and better people. And so I do worry about, if kids grow up in a place of abundance and affluence and they don't have some of those hardships. You look at the Rockefellers and kind of study the, prosperity through generations. And there's a lot of data that shows that usually, like, my kids would be fine, but it's actually the next generation that gets really hurt because they don't see those principles. Like, our kids can still see like the hustle and the work ethic and what it took. But then the next generation after that are the ones that can get really soft from that. And so the Rockefellers are the only, one of the only, dynasties that have been able to keep that going through the ages, through the decades. So there's a lot of things to that. The way I structure our estate, it's all, based on performance, performance benchmarks for them to be able to get any capital or any money out of the estate in the future. They all have to work, but they're all employees, and I pay them very well, but they have to actually go and work for it. They all have their employment agreements, and they all have, we give a charitable donation of a certain amount on every dollar that they earn. But and the kids know that I'm not going to pay for college, even though I probably would if they need it. But like, they believe right now we're not paying for college. So each of the kids' goal is to own a fourplex before they go to college, so they can have that cash flow coming in for that revenue to help pay for their college tuition. But I don't know, man, I guess I'm still working through that. And honestly, Tyler, I appreciate the compliments, but dude, the parenting game's hard, man. Like, there's not like a book or like a Bible on how to be a great parent. So definitely not. Definitely could be doing a lot better and working through that, but it's been a fun journey for sure.
Bro, you mentioned right before that success comes down to having this drive, always growing, but always knowing that you just don't know what you don't know, and that balance of confidence and humility. And you just display that or just really explain that with parenthood as well, which is why I know you're a successful parent. Will always continue to be a successful parent because you're dedicated to being a parent. You're dedicated to being everything that you are as a business owner. That's what I mean when you're very intentional, right? So these things that you've learned, this way that you live your life, and I'll kind of wrap up with this if it's okay, but where did you learn these things? How did you learn these things? Did it just happen? Was it this gradual transition? Did you go to classes? Did you read books? Like, what is it that you're like, man, this is where I started gaining traction in my life to be who I am today?
So, man, that's a big question. I would summarize it with these thoughts. When I was growing up, and it was a really rough kind of upbringing, and I don't blame anybody for that, but it just is what it was. I made a commitment as a teenager. Hey, I was going to do whatever it takes to reset the standard and to change all of this, and that I committed to doing whatever it takes to win and to reset the standard and change the game going forward for me and my future family. I didn't know what that actually meant exactly. I just knew I had this burning commitment, like, I will do whatever it takes to figure this out and to win. And so when I saw the opportunity to go out and do our sales, that's kind of what drew me to it. Like, this is an opportunity to get ahead and learn some things and make some capital, to make some money here. And I think Ed Milet talks about it beautifully, how in every family there's the one person that has the ability to change everything, to change the game for all their future generations and their posterity. And that one person it's a heavy responsibility, but it's a beautiful responsibility. And I think that really resonates with me. It's something that, I think I've kind of taken that on my shoulders, to be the one that's going to change everything. And it takes a lot of work and sacrifice, but at the end of the day, it's been, the fruits of my labors have kind of started to show a little bit. And it's been really fun, man, to be able to see, impacting a lot of people and creating value for them, and, including my own family. And so I think that's probably at its core what fires me up is trying to be the one to make that difference.
Bro, that answer is such a great answer, man, because what I've found is the most successful people that I've ever studied, the individuals who have made the biggest impact, because that's really how I look at success, like, is the impact that you're making, not just in your own life, but in the lives of others, have this unique ability to take on responsibility for others. Like, that's really what drives us. Like, you can't see this because it's behind my head, but dude, I have Ed's book here. I'm, part of his, Arate. I he spoke at our event last year. I saw that you've done some stuff with him as well. Like, it's one of the best books that I've ever read. And it was definitely one of my top from last year, was The Power of One More. And the minute that you said, I just want everyone listening to this to really hear what he said. Because I asked the question in a way of, hey, did you read books? Did you do this? Did you take a class? And it was, no, I made a fucking commitment at when I was in my teens that I wanted to change the financial narrative or just the narrative, whatever that means for my family. I didn't know what that meant. I don't know what that even meant at that point, but I knew that I wanted to change it. He took on a responsibility that elevated himself to where he's at now. And I know that you're doing the exact same things now where you're taking on these responsibilities to elevate. Go ahead.
Love that. And I just want to add on to that. Now that we talked about Ed Milet a little bit, I was at dinner with Ed Milet and Andy Frisella, it's probably almost 2 years ago now. And Ed said something really powerful. He said, "Hey, Dave, you know what the difference is between who you are today versus who you're going to be 12 months from now?" And I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "Three things. It's the books you read, it's the podcasts you listen to, and it's the people you surround yourself with." And when he said that, I was like, okay, that's pretty basic. I get it. Like, we're the average of the 5 people we spend our time with. But the more I've kind of reflected back on that, it's really powerful. Like that really is what, affects change in who we are. It's what we put in. It's the people that we surround ourselves with. There's power in proximity, like being around the people that are doing what you want to be doing. Like there's so much power in being able to not just to see that firsthand, to be able to look at them and then widen their eyes and be like, okay, hey, if this guy can do it, I can do this. It can't be that hard, right? And so that's huge. And then last, I just want to mention, talking about kind of what makes change in our lives. I think a lot of people, especially right now around, the new year, they get very focused on motivation. Like, how can I be motivated to do this and to read and to change and personal development? I found that motivation is just an emotion and it's fleeting. Motivation is very fleeting. It's short-lived. I think what really is more powerful is identity. It's who you identify, like what you identify who you are and who you're becoming, right? So if you identify, say, I'm going to be the one, or winners win, and I'm this, and then your behavior and your actions, your mindset will become more aligned with that identity and that's a much more powerful influence than just how you feel your motivation level that day.
God, bro, rewind. Everybody just put your car in park, rewind, re-listen. That is so good, man. It is. And it's most people, I believe, don't know what their identity is. So it's not that they're unmotivated. It's that they're uncertain of who they are. So they don't know where their motivation should go to. But how you just said that motivation is an emotion that is fleeting, because that's how all emotions are. No emotion is constant. It's just not, you don't have an emotion that's constant. That's not, you would never gain growth that way anyway. We have these arrays of emotions, but your identity, even though your identity is going to continue to enhance, dude, that is going to govern your behaviors into everything that you're doing. And man, you do that, motivation's easier at that point because you're just certain in the direction that you're going, man. It's your identity. I love that, man. Thank you for adding that on there.
Then the question is like, well, how do you upgrade your identity, right? And I think that for me, at least, it's been this thing I call lifestyle design. We probably don't have time to dive too far into that, but it's basically this template for my life, and it's got these 10 different areas that I want to be great at in my life. And it's all in writing. So it's like a chapter on, my health, my time, my purpose statement, my family, finances, business, spiritual, relationships, experiences. And it's all in writing, pretty detailed out, like exactly how I would define a life well lived in each one of those categories. And having that true north, having that clarity has really helped me to kind of create, to orchestrate, like, what exactly is this identity? What exactly is the destination that I'm working towards? And so, that's another topic for another day, but that's been,
I would love, so let me just want to clarify, and then because I want to be respectful of your time. So you have these 10 different areas and you have written a chapter on what that looks like underneath each of those areas. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
God, dude, I love that, man. I love that. I do
You
not
know what,
have
Tyler, I would actually, I'm happy to, so I made it for me personally, right? It was never meant to be shared or anything, but, I have shared it now with some people, some close friends, family, and a few different groups now. If you and any of your listeners want a copy of that, I'm actually happy to share it with you. If you just want to send me a DM on my Instagram, Dave Allred, or Facebook, should be pretty easy to find. Just your email address and ask for lifestyle design, and I'll have my assistant send over a copy of that, and you're welcome to edit it and just kind of tweak it however you want to. But for me, that's been such a valuable thing in my life, to be able to have the confidence and to be bold and to be able to be more aggressive in business and just in life in general. And even like you mentioned adventure, right? Like, I'm big on experiences and adventure. To me, like, that's what I have to mix in a lot of adventure, whether that's, Mount Everest or, skydiving or traveling the world, 56 countries. Like, to me, that stuff really motivates me to be better in business. And it really, it gives me energy and it fires me up to be my best version of myself. And so I think that, but again, so one of my 10 sections in lifestyle design is experiences. I have a bucket list. It's actually like 200 things deep on there that I want to accomplish in my life and experience. So,
bro,
anyway, happy to share that. If you guys want to send me a DM,
for being willing to do that, man. Like, it's funny to wrap this up full circle. One of the first questions I asked you was Axia and what does it mean? And you talked about value. And anybody listening to this, if you don't think that this dude lives, eats, sleeps, breathes everything that he's talking about, just think about what he just did there. Hey, man, I don't really share this, but if he saw my excitement, right? And he's like, okay, so if that's something that people would be interested in, hey, hit me up here. I'll send it over. Value, dude, that's value creation. Bro, you're a stud, man. I appreciate you taking the time to be on here, to spit knowledge and share your story and the wisdom that you have. Man, I'm excited to get to know you even farther than this, but I'm excited to freaking re-listen to this thing, bro, so I can take some notes on this.
My pleasure. Let's do it again sometime.
Absolutely. Anything else that you want to say as we wrap it up?
No, man, I appreciate you. And I'm excited for you, man. I didn't know you were running a fund as well. I'd love to compare some notes on that. And again, I think multifamily, man, it is the best place to be parking money. I think that, multifamily to me is, man, that's a whole other topic too, but I love multifamily and I love that you're in that space right now. And I think that, again, it's not only just the best place to create, wealth and tax deductions, but like generational wealth. It's the consistency of the mailbox money from that. It's been really special. And, it's really kind of blessed our family and a lot of people, a lot of our investors and our partners. So props to you, Tyler, for that. And also for sharing the message and creating value for your audience.
Dude, Dave, thanks so much, man. For all of y'all who were listening to this, dude, go follow Dave. We'll put all of his social links in here. We'll also put the link to his website. You can hit him up about his fund and the diversification that they have there, which is awesome structure that they have. You absolutely should hit him up and take a look on about that and investing in that. And yeah, man, just hit him up and follow him, man. He's a wealth of knowledge. So Dave, thank you so much, bro. Appreciate you. Everyone out there, go rate, share, review, and live always with aloha. Peace.